I spent, the first 26, 27 years of my life asking questions around myself, right? Why am I not happy? Why am I not doing things I love? Why this, why that? But it's all around me. I was working in a technology-based startup, and at the time we were growing really, really quickly. So I got a very bad burnout, got anxieties, all that kind of stuff. I told one of my best friends that I was having all these issues and I wanted to start the next year right. He gave me a book on Christmas, and on the front cover he wrote, instead of doing all these New Year resolutions, why don't you do one thing that scares you the next year? I just learned that if you're willing to walk 2 weeks in the Himalayas, you get to see Mount Everest. So I thought, how cool is that? And yeah, I just decided to pack my bag and leave for Nepal. So I was walking on the trails for 6 to 7 hours alone, and I noticed from afar he looked like maybe a 30-year-old man. This young 16-year-old porter by the name of Madan. And Madan was, at that time when I met him, he was transporting goods from one village to another village. Whenever I stopped to rest, he would stop as well. So we continued, that whole sequence for 2 days, and then eventually I got pretty paranoid that he wanted to kidnap me for my organs. I'm not sure why I thought about that, and it turns out that he just wanted to make sure I was okay because I got lost a few times. It was once I remembered asking him if he felt tired, walking for hours every single day, carrying so many goods, and he laughed and shook his head. He said he used to walk 3 to 4 hours just to get to school every day, but now he has to work. I later would learn that Madan is not the only one that have to go through this whole journey just to get to school. In fact, anyone who lives in all these kind of places have to go through very similar things. They would walk 3 to 4 hours to go to a school with blank walls, untrained teachers, and no books to read. It was, this whole incident that made me rethink about what should I do with my life, and if I got all this time left in this world, what's the best way to make full use of it. So initially, we came back, the first idea was we need to raise some money. I went around, called all my friends, told them about the story. So I was very fortunate to get a few friends. So that was initially what we did. We just collected some books and sold them for $5 on Carousell. Initially, for the first 1.5 years, not many of the funds were from Carousell. Most of the funds were from donations. So we opened online fundraisers and just called friends and families. So for the first year, it was great. Your friends and families would support you, and then on the second year, you realize that you have lesser and lesser friends. On the third year, literally nobody wants to pick up your call. It just wasn't sustainable at all. Eventually, at the end of 2019, we finally pivoted to a social enterprise model. One thing that I realized is that everyone has books at home. So it's really not difficult to find books. All you have to do is just tell one friend, and the friend oh, you're collecting books, and then you'll tell another friend. So initially we just got one big box, put all the books in, and then try to sell those. And then suddenly it became 2 box, 3 box. And then soon I had books under my bed, under the closet, in my father's car outside my home. And since the last 10 months, I've shipped out I've helped give almost 4,000 books a second home. We've raised slightly more than $22,000, but we invested $20,000 just as of last week into different classrooms and communities projects. For Books Beyond Borders, real end goal is to again make a big impact on solving the whole poverty issue. And that's where we would likely continue working towards. When you invest in education, you get to solve a lot of different things like basic healthcare. We know that if a brother or sister is educated, her siblings are more likely to be educated, and her children are more likely to be educated. So there's a big ripple effect on the rest of the people around him or her. Our end goal is really, really far on how we want to make change. And we always say we start by shipping one book at a time.